All right, welcome to another episode of another bourbon show, everybody. Tonight we had a last minute change. We were gonna be drinking some Cole Keegan a malted whiskey, Scotch style, but I fucked up. I gave Steven 2 bottles of it instead of one for Steven and one for Ryan, so that's on me. But we had a last minute change, and we're gonna work through it.
Yeah.
And
I think your mic's fucking up. Did you say that you fucked up, Dan?
No, I did not say that. Clearly, there's a problem with my mic. I gotta get that shit checked.
We'll do it live, dude.
Hey, maybe we could. We've got enough to last us that long, I think. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. But we're rolling with the punches here, and we are changing over to my bottle of the year for 2021. And it got Steven's honorable mention, if memory serves, as his bottle for 2021. And Ryan has not had it. But tonight we are going to be drinking Maker's Mark 46 Cask Strength. So, Cask Strength, it's not always been available. It's a kind of a new addition to the Maker's Mark lineup. For 2021, they were bottled at 55.15%, so 110 proof, 110.3 proof. Is that the same as yours, Stephen? We should have double checked that before we got started.
110.3.
Okay, just wanted to double check. So yeah, 110.3. Maker's Mark 46. It's the same as their normal 46. So it's the mash bill. It's 70% corn, 16% red wheat, and 14% barley. And then they add the 46 stave to the barrel, which is what separates 46 from regular Maker's Mark. But then this one is just bottled at cask strength. That's the difference between the 46 and the regular, and then the difference between cask strength and regular 46. But before we do, I think you can get these for 55, 60 bucks if you find them. Is that about right from what you remember, Stephen?
Yeah, from what I remember, I think so.
Okay. But before we do anything else, Stephen, what do you think of the label?
Rate it, dude. Rate it.
You know, whatever. As far as the rating goes, it's whatever I gave Maker's Mark 46. I'm not going to change it because of the cask strength. I can't remember offhand what I gave it, but
that's the only difference right there. That label.
Right, but I'll say that I kind of like the little it almost looks like a stamp or something, like the wavy outline of that cask strength label. So I like it by default a little bit more than 46, just because there's a little something else on there, another little label giving you some info. But yeah, I think that it's a cool little touch that it just goes to show you that just adding the little like waviness to the outside, just a little wrinkle here or there, an extra detail to make it a little less boring, because it could have just been a straight up, rectangle, and then I would have nothing to say here. Yeah. So same rating I gave it to the Maker's Mark 46 though.
It's a cool bottle. I always think, I've thought their Maker's line always looks sleek. It's nice on the shelf. It's kind of a pain in the ass to stock. I don't stock it personally, but you move shelves around. It's not the easiest bottle to manage. Sometimes you don't get all six or 12 to the shelf. Usually the shelves are aligned so you can get the whole case up. Mm-hmm. And with the Maker's products, that's not always the case. But other than that, I'm excited to try this. I've always liked Maker's. And this is the much anticipated sequel to Milton's episode, which will be far better than
it couldn't possibly be worse. So
one of the few sequels that's better. This is the Godfather Part 2 of our Maker's 46 series.
Hell, it's Godfather Part 3. It's all better than Milton.
Okay, before we do anything else, though, Stephen, I got to check with you about something, because it was announced last week that Maker's Mark 46 would be changing their bottle design completely. Okay.
Okay.
So, which is better, the one we just looked at or the redesign?
Oh.
I'm going to say the current bottle. I will say that I like the glass that the glass itself, or the bottle, I should say, that it has the little wax stamp already on it. That's kind of a cool touch. I'm sure that cost them a pretty penny to do. So I think that overall presentation maybe looks better. And I don't think that label across the middle looks bad, but I think this brings it more in line with the other offerings that they make, and it's going to look pretty similar on the shelf. And unless you have a different color for the overall label, I just think it doesn't look that good next to your other products.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, other than the wax top, this doesn't really fit in with their current aesthetic at all, the current bottle. So I get why they're making the change. And ultimately, they probably are saving, even with that extra design on the bottle, they're probably saving money on the overall glass production if they move everything to the same. So I don't know. It's a lateral move at best.
Okay. I was just
There's
curious.
there's a lot going on there,
Yeah.
just on the label itself.
But I think it's nicely formatted for a lot being on there. I think it's all balanced and spaced well from a graphic design standpoint. That the number 46 there with I'm guessing that's the I can't read it, but I'm guessing that's the master distiller's signature on it.
Yep.
So with that, I just think that looks like a baseball number, like a retired number or something, other than, and not like a. Here, I like that on the current bottle, it says stave profile number 46 very lightly over the 46. And there it says Bill's recipe number 46. So that seems like the most significant rebrand to me. You know?
Yeah. So I will supposedly, I don't know that this is true, but supposedly the whole reason behind the bottle design or redesign and label redesign, again, don't quote me on this, it could just be a rumor, but supposedly some wealthy dude was on a tour at Maker's Mark, and he was wealthy but didn't know shit about whiskey or bourbon, and he saw this and he thought that this meant it was aged for 46 years, that it was a 46-year bourbon, and that's the reason why it said 46. And they were like, no, that's the stave profile. And that got people thinking, oh, we should clear that up. And they bring in a marketing company, and the marketing company says, no, we're going to change your bottle completely and clear up that confusion. So again, I don't know if that is true or if it's just a rumor that's floating around, but
I feel like the issue at heart is, I think it's
People are
still
idiots.
just as misleading for a different reason.
Yeah.
If that's the case. If that's the point, I think that at this point, it's just what you're saying is you should call those French oak staves something else. Maybe
Yeah.
just call them French oak staves, because I think Maker's Mark French oak would be just fine, you know.
Mhm.
But also I think Maker's Mark 46 is just fine. Whatever. They have an image problem outside of that red wax. I think it's kind of like whatever the fuck they do down there, and the red wax is how you know it's Maker's Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would essentially
Okay.
be like Woodford Double Oak getting rid of that bottle, little short, stumpier one,
Yeah.
and then just going to what the regular line is.
Yep. Anyway, figured we'd bring it up since it's a recent change and we jumped into the 46 Cask Strength. But what do you say we drink some?
Yeah, let's do it. Hopefully the
Yeah.
viewers find that interesting. I think it's interesting, but I mean, obviously we love the juice, and we'll get into that now. But do something better, Maker's Mark,
Yeah.
with your labels.
So what are you picking up? I want to hear from Ryan because this is your first time experiencing it.
Yeah, it's sweet. Like almost, I mean, you do get a lot of cinnamon with, I mean, I'm wondering how it's going to taste, because I do get a lot of like that oaky, you know, there's a lot of oak to it too.
I mean, 46 itself is one of the oakiest whiskeys out there.
Yeah.
Like, it is super oaky.
Maker's Mark Super Oaky, call it that. That's a pretty good name.
Sweet and super oaky. Because like you got the Jim Beam double oaked, that was just oaky. There was no sweetness to that at all.
No,
But this has got a lot of sweetness to it.
it really does. It's a good balance from I'm hoping you get this from the taste too. Yeah, it's got a good nose. It's got a really good nose.
I think it's an intense smell. I get to pick up a lot of ethanol. It singes your nose hairs.
Oh, see, I don't get much of that.
I don't either.
I personally don't get much of that. Yeah, I get very little ethanol personally. I get a lot of sweetness. I get a lot of cinnamon. I get the butteriness that I'm familiar with from 46. But almost no strong alcohol scent to me. I'm drinking.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to y'all as well. I was mid sip already. Sorry.
Definitely some honey. Not like wild turkey American honey, but a little cinnamon, a little honey. Maybe piggybacking off our honey episodes. Not fruit forward. It's real sweet at the beginning, and then I get a little hug and that oakiness on the backside.
Yeah, it's got a dry, like it gives, in addition to what everything you just said to me, it's got a dry finish. It's to me, it just like it's super complex, but all pleasant. There are no negatives in my opinion. Like there's not a negative word I can personally say about 46 Cask Strength. I just can't do it.
That's sweet. It's crazy how sweet it is at first, and then that just disappears. Like a half a second later, it goes right into that oak.
And I don't feel that it tastes, or like my body doesn't react to it as if it's 110 proof at all.
No.
Like if you served this to me and told me it was a 90 proof, I'd say, like blindly, I would say, well, it's probably a Michter's product because it's got so much flavor to it. And it's got a low proof, obviously. So it's probably something Michter's. But no, this is 110 proof. Just you don't feel it. You don't taste it. But you feel it later. Let's put it that way.
I think on the palate, it tastes like Raisinets. Because I pick up like raisin or cranberry a little bit, very slightly, and then some chocolate. And yeah, I think Raisinets is like, to me, one of the best comparisons I can make. Obviously, there's some oak there as well. And it's a warm sensation, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it's that high a proof. I think it's around like, I feel like it's probably around like 95, I would say, maybe right around there. And I think it drinks like a really great proof. I think it's perfectly proofed, and that's one of the reasons why it was one of my picks of the year, because of the combination of all the profiles, both the nose and the palate that we talked about, and the fact that I just think it was so perfectly proofed. You could just tell a lot went into the bottle, and to make it in as big of a quantity as they must have is just impressive to me.
You know, whenever I first told you guys about this particular one, I told you that I've had the 2020. I think I had the 2019 Cask Strength 46, but 2021 was like a special year for the 46 Cask Strength, and I stand by that to this day. And I say that I still say that you would never confuse Weller 107 for Maker's Mark 46 Cask Strength. However, they compete really well with each other. And like I think I give the edge to 46 Cask Strength personally. And I hold 107 very dearly. So to put it up into that category is pretty fantastic.
And it's,
But again, you
I
would
mean,
never confuse the two. If you had them side by side, you would know right away which one was which.
was this a bottle that was like out and then it's gone, or can I still go out and find a bottle of this somewhere?
You might be able to find a bottle of it somewhere, but they are few and far between at this point. Very
Okay.
few and far between. Well, what do you say we rate this son of a bitch?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Well, then go.
I'm going to give it an 8.1.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm giving it an 8.1. I think it's great. It was one of my bottles of the year, but I'm giving it an 8.1. I think that it's on the nose, it's a little harsh to me, which you guys didn't agree with, which is fine. But I think on the nose, it's a little harsh, although I think it's an overall good nose. And I think that the palate is super pleasant, but it is, I would say, a little bit too similar to Maker's 46 to me. I think that I'm probably giving it partially the score based on what I wish it could be. As great of a bottle as I think it is, I just wish that going up to cask strength of Maker's 46 did something a little more unexpected for me. This is kind of what I expected from Maker's 46 proofed up. And I think it's good, but because there's no like weirdness that came out of it, it doesn't put it in my upper echelon of like maybe like what I would call like 8.5 and above. So to me, I love the bottle. Is one that I gave it the fucking, you're giving me those faces, Dan. I gave it one of my bottles of the
Because
year.
you said one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard you say in my life.
So, well,
This tastes exactly what I would expect Maker's 46 to taste like if it was proofed up. Well, yeah, because it's fucking
Because it
Maker's
is
46 at cask strength.
right.
Like,
But
like you don't.
But what I'm
it
saying
doesn't-
is the bottles I
you-
tend to like, something weird happens whenever like a weird characteristic comes out whenever you do that. And those are the bottles to me that go in.
Okay, name one bottle where that happens between a low proof and the exact same offering at a high proof.
I've been drinking cask strength whiskey. Let me get back to you on that. Well, I would say that like one of the examples I would go first to is like Maker's, or not Maker's 46, Angel's Envy Finished Rye, where I think that it's just such a weird flavor profile that no one else gets. But that's not quite an example of what you're asking. But I bet if you went to a lower proof of that same bottle, I'm guessing that it wouldn't taste the same. It would not taste, it wouldn't have some of those same qualities that I think make it like a brown sugar bomb, for instance. I would think that some of those qualities, whenever you proof them up, they're there. But then if you water that down at all, you immediately lose it. So I think if I put an ice cube in this, I could turn it into Maker's 46. I don't think it would just.
Well, of course you could.
I know what
Of course you could.
Yeah, but you keep thinking that what I'm going to say is not going to be an obvious point. I know it's obvious, but I'm just saying like that's why to me it's a good score. An 8.1 is a good score. I gave it a nomination for pick of the year, but I'm steadfast in this. I just think that it's a predictable outcome. I'm not going to give
this ice cube tastes exactly what I would imagine water would taste like if I heated it up. No shit.
I want my score to reflect. That if somebody out there has had Maker's 46, I don't want them to think that they're missing out too much if they don't get a bottle of this, because I don't think that you are. I think it's a great bottle, but I really think that if you've had Maker's 46, you've just about had this, and I would not say that about everything.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to throw out there that like if somebody was to retort and say, well, look at the difference between 107 and Special Reserve and Weller 12 and the Weller lineup. People need to understand that there is not just a proof difference between those. There is an age difference. There is a ton of differences between 107 and Special Reserve. It is not just the price. Literally, the only difference between 46 cask strength and 46 is the proof.
And actually, I would now say, and I don't know if there's a bigger difference here, but I would say that Elijah Craig barrel strength and regular Elijah Craig taste way different to me.
Again, age differences, barrel rickhouse locations.
So I don't know all those things, and you're putting me on the spot by saying that. I get your point, but to me, I just want I really want my score to reflect that. Like, if somebody likes Makers 46 and they've had that a lot, I wouldn't necessarily say like go out and get Makers 46 Cask Strength. I just don't think it's that different.
Okay.
I think it's different enough that I gave it like a mention for bottle of the year, as opposed to just panning it and being like, well, this is just Makers 46. But I just really think that it's Makers 46 proofed up. That's obvious. That's dumb to say, but that's what it tastes like to me. So I'm not going to get too excited about it. It's just super solid.
Okay. Fair enough.
And fuck you, Dan.
And fuck you, Steven. I really liked my Ice Cube line, by the way. Like,
I'm sure you did.
Come on. What's the difference between what I said about an Ice Cube and what you said about Maker's Mark 46 variances?
Intent. You tried to hurt me. I was just trying to inform. I was trying to inform the listeners.
Steven, I think you're slowly becoming the Booger McFarlane of this podcast. He throws the ball, positive gain, 10 yards. It is a first
Your
down.
mic is butchering everything you're trying to say right now.
It is.
Does this help?
Well, we can hear you
fuck
again
it.
if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
So what did you say?
It's past the point now.
Okay. All right, Ryan, do you want to go next, or you want me to?
I can go.
Careful,
I really
Ryan.
liked it.
Don't give it too low of a score, because Dan will berate you.
No, just give decent justification, not stupid fucking justification.
You melted an ice cube. You should have given it 8.6.
Man, there's some animosity here, you know?
But you know what? Hold on. Dan, you score it. Ryan, I want you to break the tie at the end. And just think of who you're a closer friend with before you give your score to.
I have my score written down already.
Okay. Ryan, you have your score written down.
I do.
Dan, you give your rate. Dan, turn around for a second, and then Ryan, you show the camera
What if I just do this?
Yeah, okay. Don't peek, Dan. Ryan, show the score.
Let me
Will you actually write it down? You fucking liar.
No, I have it here. It's just very small. Okay. See this? Right here.
Okay. All right, put it down, Ryan.
All right.
Okay, Dan, you
can
go.
see it?
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay. All right. So my rating is an 8.7. My reasoning is that it is, to me, it's not up in the 9.0 level. It's, but it's well above an 8.1. It's got lots of complexity. It's got some sweetness. It's got some spiciness. It's got,
like this podcast.
Yeah, sweetness all here, sour, bitter bitchiness over there in the top left corner.
Which is where Ryan is for me.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's where I am for me.
Oh, well, anyway. The one wearing the salmon hoodie, that's where the bitterness comes in. No, but I just think it's a well-rounded pour. It's
like Maker's 46, yeah.
But more intense in every possible way. It's like if you wanted something cold, but all you had available was water. Maybe if you were to put the water in the freezer, then it would be more of what you wanted. That's 46 Cask Strength compared to 46. Are they similar? Well, fucking duh. Of course they're similar. But the 46 Cask Strength.
Some would say too similar.
I think this is, from what I scored the other one, I'm a full point higher than what I was at regular 46. And like our last guest for the last 46 episode, you know, it was a little boring, bland, not really exciting me. Sorry, Milton. I was talking about you. I love you, dude. I love you, dude, but that episode sucked.
Terrible.
8.6. Steven, you can vouch where I was. I thought you were going to say 8.6, but you went 8.7. The more I drink it, the sweeter it is to me, the less of that oak I get. Steven, I think you said there was a chocolate note to it. And I get a little chocolate, I get a little orange zest mixing in together. It's really good. I feel like those weeded notes come out a lot more in this, and it's that much sweeter than the regular one, which is why I like it a little more.
Yeah, and it's just well rounded. Like I said early on in the episode that like I can't see anyone disliking Maker's Mark 46. I can't see anybody saying, this is just a meh bourbon. And I can see people saying that with 46. Connor, for an example, he hates Maker's Mark 46. He says it just tastes way too oaky. Well, when you add the cask strength to it, up the proof, you get way more of the sugar notes. You get way more of the cinnamon notes. You get way more of the notes that you totally miss out on with the standard 46.
I was give it a good score and good bottle, but I was a little disappointed in it because you guys talked. I feel like you both talked it up a lot, and it just didn't really hit that mark for me. And I see what you're saying, Stephen, where comparisons with the regular 46, like I had it in my mind that the regular 46 would be like what I'm drinking right now, right? Which isn't the case. I don't think it's even close. And yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I'd put it up there with Weller 107 any day.
And I mean, to be fair, whenever I've talked about Maker's Mark 46, I've always mentioned comparing 46 to Special Reserve, not to 107.
Yeah.
And to me, 46 and Special Reserve is no comparison. Maker's Mark 46 is far better than Special Reserve, in my opinion. But it's a more appropriate comparison than 46 to 107. 46, Maker's Mark standard 46 with 107 is no comparison. 107 is miles better. Well, Maker's Mark 46 is miles better than Weller Special Reserve. This is at least on par with 107 as far as quality. Again, you'll never confuse the two.
I agree with that, but I think I still prefer Antique 107 because I like the baking spices and I like those kind of notes. And I feel like they are more prevalent. It's been a while since I had 107, but I feel like they're a little more prevalent than I get with this, with the stuff I pick up in 46 Cask Strength.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like I get cinnamon from 46 Cask Strength, but I don't get nutmeg. I don't get allspice. I don't get any of those other baking spices that you get from the Wild Turkeys and the 107. So
another brother showing